The big news today, A Williams has announced its IPO, and that's a move that we saw coming since 2022, thereabouts. Saw the article in the newspaper and all of that. Well, today we'll be looking at how this company, this public offering, will reshape the company's financial landscape, and we also want to look at its investment potential. We're joined actually on set for the first time. I've never done taking stock in this studio with a guest, so you're the first.
All right.
Welcome to CEO of A Williams, Audley Reed, and we're also joined by Sagicor Investments Manager of Capital Markets, Stuart South. Welcome, Audley. Welcome, Stuart.
Thank you, Kalila.
How are you guys doing?
Thank you, Kalila.
Great to
We're
have
doing
you.
fine. Energized to get this off on the road, you know.
Mm-hmm. All right, good. No, you don't need to move. You don't need to move.
I'm good.
Yeah, you're good. So unique, you might just need to use one of the different, so like this one. Yeah, one of the different formats when we're side by side. So welcome, Audley, to the show.
Kalila.
I want to start by you telling us about how this company started, because you're a fairly young guy, family of pharmacists. Your mom, your sister, all you just came together. Tell me about the background of A Williams.
Well, the story of A Williams, it started in Chapelton, Clarendon. Our mother, the family was operating a retail pharmacy in Chapelton, and we were servicing mainly persons from the community. It's largely a farming community. That's the main economic activity from the communities in and around Chapelton. And there is a hospital close by, the Chapelton Hospital. And we noticed that even though we were stocking the most affordable generics at the time that were available on the market, our patients were still struggling to afford their medication therapy. Persons would come in, they'd buy 3 days supply of their treatment. Some persons would do a week, 2 weeks, and so on. And the idea came about out of that, a passion, a desire to serve people, to serve, the community. And we also looked at the scalability of the business at the time, and we realized that our desire for growth, was much bigger than just that community. We wanted to have a wider impact, because we are pharmacists and we believe that we can have an impact in a big way. So we started discussions because the space was available. Can we look to pharmaceutical distribution to have a bigger impact on persons who are having challenges affording quality medication? So that's how the discussion started back in 2010, 2009, 2010. And the business was registered. And we officially opened its doors while my sister and myself were in our final year at UTech.
Oh, wow.
In March of 2012. Yes, we were still in school in March 2012, but we still forged ahead because we saw an opportunity. One of the products that we would have worked to get registered while we were in school, it was approved. And upon getting that approval, we also realized at the same time that the Innovator brand, which was the only one available in that form of treatment, was out of stock, not available on the market. Because we were doing community externship in pharmacies in Papi nearby, Goodwill Pharmacy, and we saw a lot of prescriptions coming in for that drug, and we just weren't able to fill it. So myself, Mom, and Joel, we got together, had a discussion, and boom, we opened the business in March 2012 with one pharmacist as the single employee.
Which one of you was that?
No,
Your
it
mom?
wasn't any of us, because we weren't still in school and my mom was living abroad at the time. So we employed a pharmacist, Melissa Sims. Hi, Melissa, if you're listening. And that's how we started. And we expanded since then to now where we're trading over 130 products. The company has been so attractive to international players that now we have agreements with over 10 international partners. We recently onboarded 2 new pharma companies, Rivis Pharma out of Ontario, Canada, and Forts Pharma, another Indian company as well. So we've been growing very, very nicely, steadily as well. Revenues moving from under 30 million in 2012 to now where this year, April 30 or year end, we hit 1.5 billion in revenues. So
amazing.
we've seen growth.
And this is year 11, year
This
12
is year
now?
12, year 12, moving into year 13. We've seen growth. And the good thing about it is we are so energized and excited because we see that there is still immense potential for further growth when we look at all the numbers and when we look at the market on the whole. So we're going to be working, and we are hoping and expecting to welcome new investors on board with us so that we can get together and have a bigger impact on the Jamaican pharmaceutical landscape.
So your mom is Evelyn Williams.
Yes.
Your sister is Jewel.
Jewelry.
You're
yes.
Audley.
Yes.
Who's the R.A.? R.A. Williams.
That's our grandfather, mom's dad. Yeah. So Ransford Anton Williams, company is named after him in honor of his blessed memory. He was very instrumental in our upbringing. He had a very significant impact, encouraging and ensuring that we all went to school and we focused on education, because his view is that that was the only way to lift us from where we were and to empower us to be able to achieve any kind of dream or goal that we set for ourselves. So we were very happy for his influence on our lives, instilling good values in us as well. And so we thought, in honor of him, we would name the company after him.
Lovely. Any relation to the famous R. Danny Williams? Because I saw he was your chairman at one point, right?
So the name of the company wasn't conceptualized with R. Danny Williams, but the soul of the company embodies everything that who R. Danny Williams was. He was a man of integrity. He was.
But are you guys related?
We are not related.
How did you pull the R. Danny Williams to chair your company in year 3?
I don't know if it's so much that I pulled him. He has an eye for individuals who show great promise. And he's always encouraged and motivated by that. He likes people who, embody values that are consistent with who he is, integrity and just being honest and hardworking. And I believe those are some of the qualities that he would have seen in me when I met him at JC in my last year, 2006. And he has never left my side since then. So he's always been my mentor since then, kept very close, encouraged me to finish pharmacy school, and said to me that the business will come, because I was hungry for entrepreneurship. I was very involved in the
But why did you study pharmacy and not business?
Being in the pharmacy with our mother, it became a passion of mine. It was very fulfilling for me, helping her, dispensing to patients and talking to them, interacting with them, counseling and passing on information that was impactful to their healthcare. We realized, being in a rural community, that a lot of persons, though they're taking medication, sometimes they don't know why they're taking the medication. And so that kind of an impact motivated me and inspired me to serve. And I found my calling, and I believe it is in the most noble profession of pharmacy. So that is why we chose pharmacy.
That's awesome. And now the majority of your staff, or a large number of your staff, are pharmacists, which you believe is your advantage in business, huh?
I wouldn't categorize it at a large number are pharmacists, but quite a few are pharmacists. We have pharmacists on board in various aspects of the business. From the board level, we have over 50% of the board members are registered and licensed practicing pharmacists who have experience in various aspects of pharmacy: manufacturing, distribution, pharmaceutical marketing, retail and community pharmacy, clinical pharmacy, hospital pharmacy. That's the kind of experience that all of us as pharmacists at the board level brings. But we also have pharmacists involved in the regulatory aspect of the business, the marketing, and so on. But yeah, our company has over 70 employees, but the majority, what they are young people. More than 50%, more than 70% of the staff, I think, are under the age of 35. So we have a very young cohort of employees who are energized, excited, and just ready to serve the Jamaican pharmaceutical
I can testify
landscape.
to that.
You can?
So you guys invited me to host your staff event a few months ago. And let me say, I was very impressed with how you treat your staff.
Yeah, it's not so much about how we treat them, it's how they treat us and the business. And so they are always at the top of our minds. You always have to give back and pour into persons who pour into you. And the truth is that I don't know if it's because for many of them, this is their first place of employ, having finished school or something, but they're so motivated and dedicated to the business. And I believe they are the reason why we've been able to pull out such phenomenal growth over the last 12 years. You know, those who are currently with us and those who have left as well and gone on to other ventures in their lives. But the truth is, the team members of R.A. Williams, those who are here today and those who are no longer with us, have always given their hearts and minds and just their full commitment and energy. And we're forever grateful.
That's exceptional in a company. You don't see a lot of companies that have loyal staff members today. And people always complain about Gen Z not being loyal. They're loyal if you treat them right.
They're loyal if you treat them right. You know, people just want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to feel as if you recognize their worth and you see potential in them. And this is something that I learned from our Danny Williams and our current chairman too, because this is something that Chairman John Bailey speaks about at our retreat, you know, when we have our strategic meetings and so on. You know, how is it that we can keep people involved, never losing that human side of the business, always having our customers and our team members at the epicenter of every decision, you know. And so that is how we operate the business. That's the culture of the business. That is the embodiment of what and who R.A. Williams is.
You spoke about in R.A. Williams' origin story about how a lot of your customers couldn't afford the medication. So is it that your value add to the market is that you come in at a lower price?
It is a part of our value added. As pharmacists, we have a unique perspective and insight into the industry. We are able, based on our experience and practice, to identify what exactly the gaps are and where they are. That's how we entered the market, when we identified a gap in 2012. And that is how we've continued to grow. So beyond price point, which is a key factor, we also focus on where is it that there is a most critical need. And so those are the two main things that allow us to set ourselves apart.
You know, you're competing with the big boys. It's a very crowded industry. You have Lasco distributors, decades in the business. Indies Pharma also listed on the stock exchange. You have who are some others? You have some big names.
You're calling them, you know them. Some very big names.
I saw it in your prospectus. Yes. But what really sets you? That's not the question I want to ask. I already asked you what sets you apart. How did you develop these relationships with the people who, you know, your suppliers in India and Bangladesh? Do you speak Indian or Bangladeshi?
No.
How did that come about?
Well, the first company we signed an exclusive distributor agreement with was Arista Pharma back in 2010. And quickly after that, like a year after that, we introduced Square Pharma, also out of Bangladesh, an exclusive agreement with Square Pharma, two of the largest companies from Bangladesh. And those relationships came about because we engaged, while we were operating the pharmacy, some other international partners who we would have met. They would have come to Jamaica, they're doing their market surveillance, and they happened to come into the pharmacy, and we engaged in discussions. And so for those two companies, we were connected whilst operating and just becoming noticed in the market based on how we had differentiated ourselves in our approach to marketing and just our performance and growth in the early years. Other companies started to take notice of us, and so you'll notice that our suite of agreements with our suppliers, some are exclusive and some are non-exclusive. So there are other partners who would have been here with some of the larger names that you have mentioned, and for whatever reason, you know, they looked at us, they liked us, they liked what we were doing, and they decided that they needed a second partner to add value and to expand and and increase their market share here in Jamaica, and they chose R.A. Williams as a preferred partner. So we've been able to expand, particularly because international partners are taking notice of the business and the impact that we're having in the marketplace.
And now you have deals with NHF, so you're with the government. You
Mhm.
have supplied how many pharmacies?
Yeah. So at the moment, we are supplying over 700 customers. This customer base includes more than half of it is pharmacies across the island. Over 500 pharmacies we service from Morant Point to Negril Point, right across the island, in every parish, in every nook and cranny of Jamaica. We're there. We also service a lot of healthcare facilities other than pharmacies. Some medical facilities, private hospitals, and as you said, we're big in the public space as well. We do have a large contract, over $500 million, with the National Health Fund, supplying some much needed critical drugs in the area of cardiovasculars, diabetes, hypertension, glaucoma as well, ophthalmology products, and IV fluids as well. So whenever you go to a hospital and they put you on a drip, it's quite likely that one of the brands you're going to be saved by is a R.A. Williams distributed product. But yeah, we have been developing and strengthening and expanding our relationship with the National Health Fund. We find it to be a very rewarding partnership, because the persons who are served by the public health system are very much in need of these critical treatment options that are available. And so what we are keen on now, having taken a look at the last tender award period, the government awarded contracts totaling 27 billion US dollars, 27 billion Jamaican dollars. And so our stake of that was $500 million Jamaican dollars. So we think this is a critical area that we're going to be keen on focusing on over the next 3 to 5 years and beyond. And we're very, very keen on expanding the business that we do with the National Health Fund.
Well, let me stick a pin right here, because I was supposed to show you guys the recap of the IPO, the overview, and I forgot because I just got so excited to introduce Audley here in studio. So let's take a look at the overview of the R.A. Williams IPO.
Pharmaceutical distribution company R.A. Williams is looking to raise $400 million through its initial public offering. The company operates a chain for pharmacies across the island and distributes pharmaceutics to other pharmacies and hospitals. The company is offering 400 million shares priced at $1 each. If the IPO is successful, the company plans to list on the junior market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. The minimum amount of shares you can buy is 1,000, followed by increments of 100. That means you can participate in this offer for 1,000 Jamaican dollars plus fees. That's less than $7 US. The offer is set to open this Wednesday, July 17, and is scheduled to close on July 31. Sagicor Investments is the lead broker, and applications are being accepted through its e-investment platform. The link is in the description.
All right, welcome back. So I see a lot of interesting comments and questions coming from the audience. So let's get into the use of funds. And Stuart, I haven't forgotten about you. You're going to come in a little bit later and show us the e-invest platform and tell us how people can apply. But right now, I want to get into the story of R.A. Williams, and not coming up to this point where you are doing this IPO. You're looking to raise 400 million Jamaican dollars, $1 a share, as you just heard in the recap. But reading through the prospectus, looking at the use of funds, a large chunk of that is going to be used to repay debt. So tell us about that.
We're trying to prepare the company for what we are seeing lies ahead, which is we're about to accelerate the growth of the company. And if you're going to do that, you have to reduce the risk, foreseeable risks for the business. And you have to ensure that the capital base of the company is strengthened. Because if you look at the history of the company over the last, I would say, 6 years in particular, the level of growth has been very rapid, especially if you compare us to most of our competitors, even those who are listed. And we have to be strategic about when and how we do what we do. And now we believe is the right time to reduce the debt portfolio of the business. Why? Because it means less interest payments. It means less cash leaving the business. So we're able to hold more of that cash and build our cash reserves. It also will impact the profitability of the company ultimately, and that means better returns for investors. So we're keen on doing this because we want to strengthen the capital base of the company by reducing the debt portfolio and just allowing ourselves to be in a position to seize any opportunity that comes up. And we're hoping that we can execute on something very soon. But the truth is that to focus on investment opportunities and growth opportunities, you have to prepare. And so we think at this time, the best way to prepare the business is to eliminate as much of the debt as possible. And the IPO at this time is the best avenue to do that.
So is it that debt is what fueled your rapid growth?
It is, absolutely. We're happy for our financial partners and the partnership that we've been able to establish with them over the years. We have been supported. So we've taken on a lot of debt, because a lot of these opportunities that came up, they came up really, really fast. And we had to be in a position to respond. That's one of the things we pride ourselves on in terms of how we've managed the business. We've been very, very agile, and we've been able to respond in quick fashion. And we want to maintain that as we move forward. And the best way to maintain that is to make sure that you're in a position, if an opportunity comes, to respond right away.
I read about how COVID impacted the company, because I would have assumed that as a pharmaceutical company, COVID is a good thing because now people need more drugs, more pharmaceuticals. But you were also adversely impacted.
We were adversely impacted, but we were very resilient through the efforts of our team, as well as the truth, the structures that we had started to build out in the business. Looking at its scaling, we started to improve the business in all areas. And one of the areas that we focused on was logistics and distribution.
Because those supply chain issues hit you.
Precisely. So at the onset of COVID, we were impacted. Our sales in the first month when COVID landed, especially because St. Catherine was one of the first places that was locked down.
Right.
It plummeted to less than 50% of what it normally is. And so we would have had to respond, but the entire company rose to the occasion. We all came together. We all took a pay cut right away, as much as 50% in some instances. And the entire team decided that they were going to rally. We all supported each other. Persons were carpooling to get to work, all kind of things. And it didn't last long, to be honest, because when we heard about the pandemic, we started discussions internally and with our international partners, and we were able to respond to the situation very, very quickly. And the partnership with our financial institutions as well allowed us to expand our inventory holdings pretty quickly. And so we were able to get back in the game. We ended that year profitable. I believe we did. We saw growth. We did over 600 million in sales at that time. And it was the year following that we did $1 billion in sales. Yeah.
Wow. All right, let's take some questions from the audience, because I see the chat here lighting up. You guys have a lot of questions. Let me start with Sean. Sean has a whole heap of questions. Do you know Sean? Sean Brown? Sean has a lot of questions for you. He wants to know what percentage of your business comes from government versus public sector pharmacies, or government or public sector pharmacies.
The figure is not at the top of my head right now, but it is roughly around 25% of the business, I would say, that comes from
public sector.
From public sector, yeah. Maybe a little less, but it's roughly around 25%.
Next question comes from R&R, Richard Reed. If R.A. Williams gets the funds, clears its debt, what is to stop the company from getting into working capital challenges again within the near 5-month cash conversion issue?
I mean, that's an interesting question. Working capital challenges again, is how it was phrased, which is almost suggestive that there is working capital challenges now,
Or before.
or before. I just want
Well,
to
one of the
clear
loans
that
was
up.
for working
It
capital.
is for working capital, but it is not suggesting that there was a negative issue. So what it was a response to growth opportunities. So I just want to ensure that I clear that up. But how I would respond, RR, is that, I don't want us to perceive that debt is a problem. It is how you manage your debt, um, that is important. And we have always managed our business in such a way that looks at all of the risks, and any decision that we take, we're very calculated, and we do a lot of forecasting and projecting, and we seek advice and assistance from all our financial partners. And I believe that that is one of the reasons why we've been able to have their full support over the years, because we've managed the business in such a way that, one, we're able to service our debts in a timely manner. And as I said, we're reducing the debt portfolio right now because we want to be in a position that, should an opportunity come, we don't know what is going to be required based on the size of that opportunity that may come. But we want to put ourselves in a position where, if we need to partner with financial institutions again, then that may be on the cards. But for now, what I see is that the company will be focused on pulling out good revenue performances that will allow us to continue to have positive and growing cash flow, cash reserves, and just remaining profitable, and ensuring that we remain on a growth trajectory.
JMR wants to know, what prompted that increase in revenue to 1 billion?
Opportunities. We added new lines, which expanded our product portfolio in 2002. And, that is how the business has continued to grow. In May of this year, we signed agreements with Forts, an exclusive contract with Forts out of India. They are expected to introduce somewhere between 6 and 11, between 6 and 11. I can't remember the exact figure, but I know for sure within this month we're expected at least 2 of those very fast moving products to arrive in the island. So those we'll see the revenues of those starting to impact the company going forward. And we also signed an agreement with Rivis Pharma out of Ontario, Canada. So what you will see is the company continuing on this growth path, as we move forward, because that has been, we've just been attractive to international partners. They've sought us out. We've had discussions, and we're continuing to grow the business.
Let me take 2 more questions from the audience, and I'm going to come to Stuart. So RR again, with the costs associated with training and developing staff, how do you mitigate or minimize the high turnover often associated with a young staff?
That's a interesting question. The truth is that there is costs associated with training, but a lot of our staff, we do employ them if they are trained in the area that we're looking for. And we do a lot of internal training, but this is something that we also plan for, because a lot of times we have to bring in experts to do training of the staff. So how do we maintain or reduce staff turnover? We keep them engaged. We ensure that our staff members feel valued. Kalila was joined us at one of our staff events earlier this year, and so she would have seen firsthand how is it that we go about engaging them. I think that was a change management session with Dr. Nsombe Jaja, because we believe that we have to ensure that we're investing in our people. And so, this is something that we plan for. We when we're doing our forecasting or budgeting exercise, that is an area that is budgeted for staff development and staff training, because it is absolutely essential for a business that is growing and growing rapidly.
Yeah. Next question is from Christopher Johns. Does the company have a medical equipment division? If not, any plans to add that income stream?
Very interesting that this question should be posed. Last night we were at the investor briefing, and interestingly, one of our international partner and their principal representative here was present at the briefing, and they posed a question similar to this. We are in talks with international partners who are interested to bring medical equipment to Jamaica. We will see how those talks develop as we move along. But at the moment, I cannot say that, yes, there are plans, but we are in discussions.
You're interested. All right, let's bring in Stuart, because the people are now asking all about how they can apply and so on. Hi, Stuart.
How are you doing, Kalila?
Stuart is joining us from Sagicor Investments, and tell us how we can apply for this offer.
So thank you for that question. So Kalila, the offer is available for participation through Sagicor's e-invest system, and this is our revamped e-invest system. We're happy to relaunch it to the public. You can access the website by going to einvest.sagicorjamaica.com. Based on the fact that it's a revised system or a relaunch system, all users, no matter whether you had a profile initially on the old system, you need to register, re-register, and then you'd be able to log in and apply for the A Williams IPO. And just to reiterate, the invitation from A Williams is for 400 million ordinary shares. It's at $1 a share, and that 400 million shares is split between a number of different pools. One of the first pools is the company applicants pool, which has 30 million shares. That includes shares that are reserved for team members of A Williams, for example. You have a key strategic partner reserve pool. That's 160 million shares. That's reserved for the application of key strategic partners of A Williams. And then the non-reserve share pool, which is for the general public, that includes 210 million shares. So the IPO opens officially tomorrow, right? It's pretty imminent. It opens tomorrow at 9 a.m. and it is scheduled to close on July 31st at 4:30 p.m. So just to reiterate, investors can apply on Sagicor eInvest. You must ensure that if you're going on the platform, that you must sign up even if you had an old profile or old login on the previous system. And Sagicor eInvest platform can actually take applications from all active JCSD accounts. So you don't have to be a Sagicor Investments client to use eInvest. It doesn't matter. You just log in, and we accept all JCSD accounts, no matter whether your brokerage account is with Sagicor Investments.
Okay, good. So you don't need a Sagicor account necessarily. As long as you have a JCSD brokerage account, you're good.
Yep.
All right. I see a couple of questions coming in. Directs wanted to know if the account does it have to be a checking account?
I think he's asking if the account in Appendix 2 of the prospectus, that's you're supposed to fund the account.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah. So yes, it is a checking account.
All right. Let me see if I have any other questions. Will it be on any other investment platforms, or is it only through eInvest?
As of now, the offer is only on eInvest, and as of now, it's only on eInvest. We don't have any intention right now to bring it on any other platform. So we think eInvest is capable of accepting applications and the demand that we're going to get from the A Williams IPO. Applications have been coming in fast and furious, especially after the investor briefing yesterday. And we think that the system is quite capable and can accept the demand that we expect.
And just to stress, so this is a newly revamped platform, right? eInvest, because you guys had it on hiatus for a little bit. You fixed some issues and now it's back.
Yep. Yeah, so eInvest, so we would have used the older version of eInvest in previous offers. And we had some learnings from that, and we really went back to the drawing board and ensured that we prioritize the experience of the investing public. So the changes that we've made on the current eInvest platform, it really prioritizes the user experience. So it is extremely convenient. You can apply using any JCSD account. It's accessible. It's pretty intuitive in terms of how the application process flows. You can track your applications throughout. I think for the previous platform, a lot of investors didn't know where the applications were. So we've embedded it within this Invest platform, a number of ways in which investors can track their applications. And yeah, it saves time, because when you look at how many clicks it takes you, for example, to get to a successful application, it's a pretty low number. So just to reiterate, we've put the user first in this new platform, and we really encourage persons to come on, register, and apply for the A Williams IPO after reading the prospectus.
All right. So, Stuart, I want to ask you to look at the comments in the chat right now. Some people, you can respond to them individually. Some people say they're still having a few issues, but I just want you to address those later on. Before you go, though, Stuart, why is this opportunity a good investment in your opinion?
So A Williams oddly spoke just now about the company's growth. Just going back to the origins of the company is only 12 years old. And in 12 years, it has scaled the business to sales of $1.5 billion. And that is a truly impressive feat. When you look at the structure of the market itself, A Williams is in a very specialized and regulated industry. And so it has a fairly high barrier to entry. You also find that the industry is resilient because demand is relatively stable. And you could even say that it may even be growing because Jamaica has an aging population. So we think the industry dynamics means that A Williams is well positioned. I think because of its size as well, it oddly mentioned that it's a quick and agile business, and because of that, it can continue growing more readily or even quicker than some of its larger peers. When you look to the financial aspects of the company, I mean, truly remarkable stuff. Revenue growth over the last 5 years, for example, has been in excess of 30% when you look at a compound annual growth rate. And profit before tax, even higher. So between 2020 and 2024, profit before tax grew at a compound annual growth rate of 42%. So you have revenue growth accelerating, you have profit growth accelerating. You also have a business that is mindful that with that growth, they have to steady the ship. Gross margins in that period of growth has been broadly stable in the mid 40%. And that is a real testament to the ability of the management team within the company to really manage the growth that they're experiencing and ensure that the margins are kept under control. And then when you look at the bottom line, what's the return to investors? Over the last 3 years, for example, the business has had a return on equity that has averaged over 30%. So truly profitable business. We think that the transaction itself, it has the best of both worlds. You get a business that is growing, it's accelerating growth, it is profitable, and then you also get a business that is well positioned in the marketplace and is making real meaningful impact in the lives of Jamaican people. And at Sagicor, we definitely align with that because it aligns with our mission of improving the lives of our Jamaican people.
All right, Shells wants to know, how can non-Sagicor investors send the money to you? So if you don't have a Sagicor, I guess, bank account or investment account, how do you get the money over to you at Sagicor?
Yeah, so you could use your own banking platform. So if you're the client of another bank, you can access the transfer feature from that bank and just ensure that you insert the payment details in Appendix 2 of the prospectus. In that appendix, it shows you the instructions that you're required to actually transfer the funds to participate in IPO.
So it just end up being a ACH or RTGS
Yes, it's
transaction?
ACH, RTGS, as well as we also accept managers' checks.
Okay. I have another question. I thought I was done with the questions, but this one from Jason is pretty good. And this one is for you, Audley. So Jason is putting you on the spot. He says, with such high revenue growth, why is there a challenge in clearing the debt?
We have continued to service our debts, Jason. So I wouldn't say there is a challenge clearing the debt. We just don't want to carry the debt beyond this point, because we believe, we have to think strategically when you're managing a business. And when you enter debt arrangements, they're normally entered for a period of time at agreed interest rates and so on. These interest rates and these agreements of the payment structure, they impact the business. You have to be paying out cash to service these debts. And so what I am trying to communicate to young potential investors like Jason is that our move to eliminate the debt at this time shouldn't be perceived as a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, because you, Jason, will get an opportunity to own a stake in a pharmaceutical company that is growing and that is having an impact in making your family and your friends and your community more healthy. And at the same time, we are using your money that you give to us, Jason. In turn, you get a share in the business to eliminate monies that we owe financial institutions. With the elimination of that money, we no longer have interest payments and principals to service debt. What that means for you, Jason, is that we keep those funds, and every month when the business makes a profit, we no longer have to pay out these funds to service debt. So what it means is that we're able to hold back on funds that would normally be leaving the business to service debt. And it also means that on our books or accounting, every month we would have to normally expense whatever interest payments we make. And we no longer have to expend those interest payments. It means that goes to our bottom line. So you, Jason, as an investor, will see increased profits in the business that you have invested in. So that's the move that we're trying to make, and we're hoping, Jason, that you will come on board through e-invest at Sagicor, put in your money and invest with A Williams, and let us grow together and make Jamaica healthier.
And remember, Jason, it's a cash flow issue as well. You don't want to use up all your revenue, all your profits to be paying debt, because then that puts you in a position where you're strapped for cash just to run the company.
Exactly.
Right? Jason likes your answer. He says, okay, yes, that was clear. I like the sound of that. And he says, thank you. Stuart Shells is back with another question for you. And it was about, okay, so she said, transfer to what account? Is it listed in the prospectus?
So yes, it is listed in the prospectus. And I just want to say that we encourage persons to read the prospectus in full before submitting an application. But the account for the transfer, as well as the complete instructions as to how an investor can apply, is in Appendix 2 of the prospectus.
Appendix 2. Let me see if I can find it for you, Shells. Trying to scroll to the end of the document. It's at the end, right?
Yep.
Appendix 2. All right. Once I find it, I'll put it on screen a little bit later. But I want to wrap this segment of the interview right now, and then later on we can always, during the break, I can look for it for you, Shells, or you can go online as well. Download the prospectus, scroll to Appendix 2, and find the account that you are supposed to invest it. That you're supposed to transfer the funds to. I want to thank Stuart for joining us, and Audley for coming all the way to our studio. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, Kalila.
And all the best when you open tomorrow.